lovely to see you all. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. And I'm going to keep letting people in as I can, but don't worry about that. I'm absolutely thrilled to have Grainne Tyndall back. So I just want to go back to something. The other day I was out walking and I was listening to Grainne's podcast, Numbers for Success. You've got to look it up. It's absolutely brilliant. So Grainne does a monthly podcast on the forecast for the year ahead, or for the month ahead, based on her skill in numerology, her knowledge, her years of study and experience in that. But also from time to time, she puts in a little extra one. And because it was St. Brigid's Day, or the Festival of Brigid, Grainne did a lovely one called, Grainne, you called it Hail
Hail
Brigid?
to Brigid.
Hail to Brigid. I was absolutely, my walk, I was like, I floated home. I don't even remember walking, just listening to Grainne's information and knowledge about Brigid. And it's full of fascinating facts and lovely kind of extra, what would we say, almost intuitive information about her as well that you brought through, which was just so interesting. And you brought her alive to me, all aspects of her. So Grainne, I asked you, would you please come in and tell us all a bit more, because she's so important. We hadn't realized. I know many of us are kind of pleased that there is a feast day for our female patron saint, and our many of us have a great connection to the energy of the very powerful goddess Brigid, but we really don't know very much about her at all. So I wanted to ask you if you would please come and share what you've got, and I'm thrilled to bits you could be with us this evening so soon and right at the time of this festival. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Oh, it's a pleasure. And yeah, Brigid, she's a mighty woman, isn't she? And it's so lovely to see the divine feminine coming into play. Because Ireland, I guess it's been very patriarchal for so long, but finally it's starting to happen now that the divine feminine has been recognized, and it's beautiful. And the goddess Brigid, oh, I just love her. And I have my notes here, so I'm looking down, so that's the only reason, but I'll keep looking up as well, because there's a lot to say about Brigid. So you can ask any questions, not that I know it all, but I'll certainly give you what I can. And if there's anything else you'd like to ask me about what's going on right now in the world, there's a lot going on energetically. So I feel it's really important that Brigid has been finally recognized in many ways. Yeah. So shall I just go ahead then, Trina? Yeah.
Far away. Yes, go on, you do that.
Thank you. Well, I suppose when we think of Brigid is the goddess, the triple-headed goddess, and she has been around for many, many, many thousands of years, really. And she is the goddess of fertility and regeneration. And Brigid, Breed, Bridie, Breda. There's so many different interpretations of her name, but she's the keeper of the hearth, of the fire. And I love Irish, and my mother's from the west of Ireland. So, when you think of the word hearth, and then sometimes the word which means life force in Irish can be nyart. If you try to say that like a Connemara woman, nyart, it's a lovely gloss to it.
Yes.
So the nyart is also the heart. So she's very much the hearth of the home. And certainly in ancient times, the fire was the most significant piece of the household, as we can imagine. Our ancestors, obviously for heat, but also for food. And so certainly traditions had it that people would have built their houses, they would have built the fireplace and then the house around it, because the hearth was the most important part. And I think you might have heard me say this in my podcast, Trina, so that sometimes the eldest woman of either a young couple who were planning to build their home would bring a piece of turf from their fire to the hearth and yard of the new house, which would create the energy of love. Isn't that lovely to think of that? You can imagine the turf in the apron and running across and putting it into the fire. It's beautiful. So yeah, I like that kind of I can see it like, my grandmother with an apron, that type of vibe.
Handing it down to the next generation. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Yes. Bringing the light, bringing the energy, bringing the love, the passion, and obviously the creation of a new family, hopefully. That would have been the whole idea, as we can imagine. So But Brigid was a midwife, and she was a healer, which was also considered to be around the arts. I don't know if people knew that, the arts.
No,
And I suppose,
Grainne, I'm jumping in, and please forgive me, everyone.
please do, please do.
Because at this moment in Kildare, in the town of Kildare, which of course is the centre of, you'll tell us lots more about that in a moment, they have the wonderful Unraveling the Icon Arts Festival. Can people see that?
Oh,
And the most amazing works of art, whatever, in every possible way, beautiful carvings and statues and paintings, all done by artists not only from Ireland but all over the world, centered on the icon of Brigid. And as an artist, as a patron of saint of the arts, it's an incredible thing to see. It is true. So if anyone can get there, I think it's up until the 19th of February. It is well worth making the journey to Kildare and taking in the wonderful works of art that's there. It's been put on by the Sult Artists Collaborative Group. And there are hundreds, there's dozens and dozens and dozens of them. It's absolutely beautiful. Sorry for interrupting you. Continue. But people don't.
Oh, no, you can ask me anything,
It's fascinating that you should say that. And I'm not even sure artists know that, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, I'd say on a soul level, because people are like, there's beautiful icons now in Naas, the big ball that's in as you come into Naas, County Kildare.
Yes.
It's a beautiful image of Brigid. And I mean, all over the GPO a few years ago, her icon. So I think she is very much the patroness of the arts. But art as it is, obviously, is what we're speaking of there. But arts was also alchemy, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, all of that. So, and the ability to be a seer, a bit like myself. And we all are, but I just work with it. That's the reason I say that. And also leather craft, all the things, that basket making, all those things. But the nun is kind of interesting. Like, we don't really know. Well, it's said that the first nun, she actually, was called Brigid, and she was ordained by the bishop at the time, and she was called Brigid, but we don't know whether for sure she was. But it's said that she was the daughter of a chieftain, but also her mother was a slave in the 5th century. And so, the expression we talk of Brigid being born she's the threshold. It said she was born on a threshold, but I think it's more symbolic, meaning, the threshold of a new earth, exactly what we're going through right now here on 21st century Ireland. So Brigid also means bridge. So it's a bridge between the old worlds and the new world, maybe the pagan world, the old ancient teachings, into the Christianity. That's really what I think it is. The way we can play with all these things. It's great fun. So, but Brigid was some woman, like she had a following, mainly of women, and she wanted to build a church, and she was going to by hook or by crook, she was going to get it. So herself and some of her people, the nuns that were with her, they lived in the Curragh in County Kildare. It's quite flat there, and they wanted to get more land to build the church, to build their convent. And so they decided to go all together in mass to the Chieftain, and he was having a great old hoolie. I'd say he had a few drinks on him, and there was loads of men. You can imagine them all around, celebrating their, killing the stag or whatever it was. Yes. And so she arrives with her broth, her cloak, and as did the other women, and she said, I'd like some land. He said, certainly. Yeah, anyway, throw that broth on the ground, and whatever it fills, you can have it. And of course, the story goes that the broth grew and grew and grew for many, many, many acres. And he wasn't pleased about this, because this was alchemy, this was magic. But she got her way anyway, and he said, off with you now. And that was in Kildare, which in Irish is Kildare, which is the Church of the Oak. And that's where she built her original church. And they lived off the land, of course, and taught children many things, arts, crafts. Everything was about the coming together in union of support and love.
Yeah.
And when poor old Brigid made her passing anyway, men took over then, and there was bishops taking over the role she had laid out, because she really was an incredible I think quite a great businesswoman, if that was probably the wrong word for the time, but she
Yeah.
was a visionary. She was
Yes.
an absolute visionary and a seer, and she knew what she wanted, and she wanted to gather people together to help them. And I guess Rome got to hear of all this stuff anyway, and they weren't pleased because there was nobody paying taxes, as if. So the Pope Adrian the Fourth, no less, he became concerned, particularly because women were refusing to pay taxes to the Roman Church. So there was still women involved, but there was a bishop running it. So Henry II, pardon me, of England was asked to intercede on the behalf of the Pope. So he came over anyway, and that's when it began. A lot of the churches were destroyed and so forth. No, not Henry VIII, Henry II. And the monks and the priests and nuns were banished. Yeah.
And you
But
you mentioned there the hearthwives, Grania, the idea that the priests and the bishops and those at the time had their hearthwives and they had their comforts and all of that. And so what did that the change must have been enormous in Ireland afterwards. Have we any stories about that, or any, or is this, was this a worldwide, or I suppose a European wide situation?
it was European. The Romans were certainly conquering, and the English were everywhere, the British. So then the Normans decided to come and join the pack. So they invaded Ireland as well. So there was a lot of change. So women began to lose their power and their land. So, and this happened in Ireland a lot later than the rest of Europe. So, but in Kildare, Brigid rekindled the flame, was kept burning for centuries. And in the 12th century, even though there was great suppression of the monasteries and so forth, it still kept going in its own way, so more like secretly. So, but Brigid, like in the 12th century, the Norman cathedral was built on the site that her original church had been built.
In Kildare town? Is that the
Yeah.
one? Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
We were in there yesterday
Yeah.
actually visiting. It's
So
gorgeous.
all that remains of the earlier site is the round tower and a partial high cross, apparently.
Okay.
Again, this is just research that I've done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the Brigidine order came there around 1807 in Tullow Carlow. And then they came in 1992, the nuns returned to Kildare.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it gets interesting. And then that was when the fire of Brigid really was back in action.
Yeah.
And it was then, you might recall, on the 1st of February 2006, Mary McAleese, who was the president of Ireland, she, along with Sister Mary, who was one of the nuns of the Brigidine order, carried the flame to the market square in the centre of Kildare town. And then a new sculpture was then commissioned and erected in Kildare, and that is what we see now. I haven't been there myself, to be honest, but I've gone to Wells and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, Mary McAleese at the time spoke about Brigid and about how very much how her strength and her patriotism brought this,
Our train was an hour or something.
Oh, sorry.
Good,
Just
yeah, I did.
excuse me. Yeah, got you. Sorry, we just had somebody speaking there. I couldn't hear you. Sorry, it's okay now.
Yeah, that's okay. So really, the flame burns as a beacon of hope. Yeah. And it still burns all the time. And it's very much, a lot of people around the world now, we know that, come to pilgrimage there. And of course, with the Brigid's Way, the Brigid's Walk, which I think is incredible. It's so wonderful to see it.
It was wonderful. And you mentioned Mary McAleese there. Her whole kind of mission at the time was to build bridges, to span the divide and bring people together. And of course, that was very much the energy of what she was, I suppose, giving back to at that time. It's a wonderful story, and everybody can take something from it. There's something in that story for everyone.
And it's all about fire and passions, and and keeping the home fires burning. And I suppose we all went through it in 2020. I spoke at that at length at the time about the hearth of the home, and 2020 vision. I suppose as a numerologist, I'm always looking at numbers as a way of looking at things, and I sort of view my lens through numbers. But numbers are just energy and frequency.
Yeah.
So 2020 was very much around the 2020 adds to a 4, which is to do with our heart chakra.
Okay.
And it was the giving and receiving, but also, a lot of us were at home, but it was about coming home to the heart and the nart
Yes.
of the
Yeah.
home,
And
really, in many
it
ways.
did that in bucket loads, didn't it? In fact, people who hadn't been home for a very long time got a very long stay at home, actually,
They
at that
did.
time. Yeah,
That's when
coming
the
back to
world changed.
ourselves as well. Yeah.
Yes. So Brigid is a mighty woman, and I feel it's wonderful to honor her. And
Yeah.
Imbolc, which is obviously the season that we're in right now, spring. Bullock is a belly, full belly, and it's when the birthing of the animals, as you said, the snowdrops and the crocuses are pushing their way through the hard earth, and it's a wonderful time, and the birds, everything's starting to be reborn. So,
Oh,
and
yeah.
because we're in the age of Aquarius, we can guarantee that's going to happen as well.
Now you're coming somewhere. So thank you first of all for all of that. That was absolutely fascinating, and it's lovely. I mean, we've got people checking in here from Australia, from Europe, from America, and they, they may not know that story, and I think it's really interesting. I think it's certainly when I saw Debbie Boyle had put up a lovely post the other day of the festival itself on the 1st of February that night, and a fire and a pageantry and the most wonderful celebration taking place, and you can actually see that being taken up and going around the country and elsewhere, because
Right.
particularly for women, I think there's a lot in there. I'm particularly taken with the whole idea of the courage of coming before a chieftain. I assumed it was her father. I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was a chieftain, and asking for her piece of land, they throwing down her cloak and trusting that this was going to be,
Yeah, and
you
that's
know,
why the lovely tradition. I have my broth here. I'll show you. It's putting out your broth the night before the last day of January, the 31st. That's
yeah.
my little broth. I don't know if you can see it there.
Ah, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
lovely. Now, look, I also remember you mentioned something about her cross being north, south, east, and west, and not necessarily the Christian cross, but of
Yeah,
the
exactly.
north.
It's not a crucifix. It's not crucifixion. It's north,
Yeah,
south, east, and west. It's all the different directions. The 4 directions, which are related to the Celtic wheel, of course. And now
uh,
we're in Imbolc.
yeah,
And so with that in mind, this is the beginning. Again, it's the alpha. And, after the long sleep, now the animals start going out again to the field. Well, it's a little bit chilly, but they're starting the process of rebirth.
yes.
And so yeah, I feel Brigid has so much for us to give us, and like she's on the first day of February, but
Mm.
on the 31st is the day to put out your broth, and it can be just a cloth or a
Okay.
scarf, and she's meant to pass by your house and send love and healing to the broth, which you can then wear, and it's
A
very good for sore throats.
wonderful plan. And tell me this, where do we get a broth, or do you make it yourself?
It can be anything. Oh, well, that one I got from a lovely lady. I can give you the information after if you want.
Oh, do please.
Um, yes, I have a Brigid's blanket actually that I have. It's a big one.
Yeah.
But I just have, you can use tea towels, scarves. I put all my scarves
Oh,
out. You're meant to put them out on the tree outside
yeah,
your house
I
or in
see.
your back garden. And then Brigid passes. It's lovely to have these old traditions, isn't it? That she comes.
Absolutely. If anyone else here has their own traditions or has heard of other traditions that may be in different places around the country, but please come in and tell us, or stick it in the chat box
Yeah,
or whatever you feel like doing. Because the more
absolutely.
the more we learn about this, the better. The more we can. Because this time next year we're all going to have a broth, and we're all putting it out for
Yeah. You can
to
have anything. And I like putting out scarves because you can wear the scarf then.
yes.
Again, it's setting intentions, isn't it? And this is what this time is about. It's
Yeah.
the birthing of
Yeah.
something new.
Speaking of that, the other place I was yesterday was in the National Stud, and they are all geared up for all the little foals ready to be born. There was one born only a few hours before we arrived, and another one out in the field. And seemingly, I didn't realize this, but all the horses get the 1st of January in the year as their birthday, race horses. So they all tend to be born round about January, February, March. So there's a wonderful atmosphere of excitement in there at the moment with all the new foals coming in. gorgeous
Oh,
little creatures. Just
wonderful.
is so hopeful and so beautiful to see them. So if anybody's looking for it, just I'm going to push that again. If anybody's looking for a day out, it is a great place to go. And just before we leave that, I want to show something. This is in the lovely brochure I was showing you for the unraveling an icon. There's a couple of paintings that I just feel are stunning. I put one of them into my email earlier. The Many Faces of Brigid. Can people see that?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure you can actually see that. It's an incredible painting, and it
Mm.
is by Pilar Cerrato. I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. And it is called The Many Faces of Brigid. You can see that in the town. And there's one other I want you to see because it's an incredible depiction. And this is one by Leah Imbolc. Can everybody see that? I'm not sure if you can. Leah
Brilliant.
Imbolc. And it is called Brigid at Dawn. And she is walking through the land with her beautiful cloak over her, the birds around her, the trees. I mean, you can even see it's almost as if this tree has an eye. It's looking at her as she walks past.
Yeah, you can see a face there for sure. But she had a
Definitely,
real connection with nature because she was someone who worked with the land. She
it's
respected
absolutely
it.
stunning. And you can see that there as well, along with all others. So look, that's Unraveling an Icon, a huge open air art exhibition. Some of them are in windows and shops, and others in the cathedral there in Kildare as well. And then some of the what would you call them, kind of statues or I haven't got all the terminology. Anyway, there's lots and lots of stuff there for you to go and see. So look, you cannot be here without having lots more news for us, Grainne. And of course, the one thing we can always count on is that there's always something going on in the world. Many of
Oh,
us
yeah.
don't understand. Many of us are scratching our heads going, what on earth is this? And it's always a nice idea to maybe put it in perspective from the point of view of the the interesting numerology, astrology, and just get us a little bit more information, scratch the surface a bit more and find out what is actually going on. And you, of course, always have loads of information. What is it we can expect at the moment?
Oh Lord, it's it surely is a time of change, isn't it? And if anyone's got any questions, feel free to ask me. This is your opportunity to, if you'd like to. I guess, February itself is a number 2 month in the calendar, but in my world, we add the 2, which is the month year, which is 2024, which adds 20. So 8 and 2 is 10. So the energy of this month, numerology wise, is a 10, 5, which is a 1, 0. So it is an opportunity to restart again. It's an opportunity to reinvent. And the 0 is unlimited potential. That's the very basic meaning of it. It really is a month where it will be fast and furious. I mean, I can't believe it's day 6 already.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere.
Absolutely.
It's gone so fast. And there's been a lot of, I suppose, shocks, change, rapid change going on in the world, particularly my podcast today, the Royal House of Windsor, what's happening with King Charles and the royal family really is under great scrutiny. But I feel everything that we have witnessed and view on the world stage, again, this is just my opinion, of course, is it's also something for us to look at of our own family, our own lives, how we relate, how we respond. And I feel that's happening a lot for people,
Mm-hmm. It's interesting
So
that there's so much going on there, all right. And it is I feel that it's quite shocking, particularly obviously for the people of England. With it's so quickly into his reign, and this has come up, particularly since his mother had lived what it seems like a long and fairly healthy life. That so
yes,
quickly into his reign after his coronation, he became so unwell.
yeah. Well, I remember doing a podcast, around that time. I looked at Charles's numbers and looked at his astrology, and I remember being really surprised that because he would have advisors, like Charles would be into homeopathy and into alternative medicine. That's what I admired that part of him. And he would have always consulted with astrologers, and I just don't understand why he was coronated. I don't know if that's the right word, coronated, um, on the 6th of May, 2023. But the next day was a full lunar eclipse in the sign of Scorpio, and he is a Scorpion sun.
Mhm.
and I think a Scorpion rising. So I remember thinking, what is that about? Because that is not a good omen.
Oh, oh dear.
No, no. It would mean that it's. I said it. You can listen back on them. I said this is going to be probably a short reign,
Mm,
and because it's like he's given a snapshot, given a chance and an opportunity to. And this is just my opinion, but a chance to be able to be a king, and but I just don't know what's going to happen. None of us do, obviously, but and
yeah.
I certainly wouldn't be. But it's more. I feel
And can
it's
we
a
say
it's a
that a
pity.
short, sorry, go on, I'm jumping in there. A short reign doesn't necessarily mean a short life. I mean, he could have a very long life,
Oh
but
no,
very
I'm talking
short
about
reign.
his reign. Oh yeah,
Yes,
yeah. He
yes,
might decide to abdicate.
yes.
Um, but so I found that kind of curious, and then of course Kate, Catherine Middle,
Yes.
Princess
My
Catherine.
goodness. That she really has begun. I even noticed looking at her even, and I really hope she gets well very quickly, because at
Yeah,
first,
she's
I think
young.
many of us thought it was some kind of women's trouble or whatever. And those of us who've had a hysterectomy will know that doesn't take that long. I mean, it can knock you back, but you do recover fairly quickly, and you're back driving after 6 weeks.
Mm.
But she had begun to look so thin in the last few months in particular. I was looking at some of the beautiful clothes she was wearing, and just instead of really enjoying how fabulous she looked, I was thinking how painfully thin she was looking. But hopefully she absolutely will get back to full health again soon. Although you've been doing everybody's charts lately, because there's so much going on. So do you have some more insight?
Well, again, I'm based. Everything is free will, as we know.
Absolutely.
We have dates I can give and timing and all that in the chart, and I do that for people. But at the end of the day, our soul knows what's right for us and what isn't. So while someone like me, an oracle or a seer, can see things, it doesn't mean it can be either accepted or not, if that makes sense. So
Mm,
I
mm.
never would dream of telling someone when they're going to make a passing or have their passing.
Oh gosh.
However, having said that, there are certain ages that I give when I do a chart that
Mm.
are times of change. And as it happens, King Charles is currently in his soul return year, which is 75. So
Now,
this is
just
a
tell me
year of big
something
choice.
before
Mhm.
you go on, and I am sorry again I've interrupted you, but you see, these terms are they're everyday speak for you, and they're new for us. So you were saying a soul journey. So what did you say? A soul return
Soul
year.
return
What
age.
is that
So
then?
when I do a chart for everyone, people, clients, I look at their date of birth, and from that I can ascertain particular ages to them, just individually to them, where they will have change. Now, change doesn't mean it's bad. Change is good.
Mhm.
Um, but sometimes it depends on the combination of numbers that I just see with Charles. This is a major turning point for him at
Okay.
75 in his case.
Mhm.
Um, and I feel it's a time of reflection. And he is in his fifth year. I don't actually have his chart in front of me, but he is in his year of change anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
So it might mean standing back and letting the next generation. Who knows? But there is the House of Windsor is falling down like a pack of cards.
My goodness, that's a statement. Wow. Okay. Well,
Well, it has to.
yeah.
It's time. So it's all the old. Again, it's Pluto, the god of the underworld,
Mm.
is now walking hand in hand with Aquarius. So what does it mean? It means that this is a new time of absolute revolution and revelations, and in all areas. So old systems that no longer work, banking, education, business, royal households, health systems, everything. It has to
Yeah.
change. So it's going to take 20 years or thereabouts, but it's going to.
Absolutely. We're seeing all those changes even in the workplace for a lot of people. That the way in which we all thought working had to take place is actually completely different. So many people,
It's brilliant.
offices,
We can work from home. It's
work
great.
from home, offices being built all over the place, and nobody to go into them, because there's a whole new way of working. Everything we need is in front of us.
Yeah.
And if that's working out, so be it. And if people really need to go out to work, well, they're going to have to find maybe the kind of work that suits that. So yeah, that's even in a small, just in our local way. But you're saying that on the world stage, that's bringing in a whole new way. And of course, we tend to, you know, we know this even as women moving through the change, moving through menopause. We leave our known way of living, you know, with claw marks on its back. We want to keep everything. We want to keep our youthful appearance, our careers, our kind of dynamic way of moving about the world, etc., etc. Yet we're moving into change, and it's only when we begin to step back and in a sense surrender to it, to really embrace it, that we begin to see it's a vital thing, it's important to us, and there are so many gifts that come with that. So in the same way, I imagine, in a sense, so are the changes going on in this world, that we have to leave. Some people will go kicking and screaming, and others will applaud it with great excitement, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and I feel what we're going through right now is exactly what happened energetically, that is, from 1777 to 1798. And before that, from 1532 to 1552. And the first piece was around the time of good old Henry VIII. And he decided he'd had enough. He wanted to marry Anne and he was going to do it. So he created a new church. So we're going through that now. Secondly, the next piece was the French Revolution, the American Revolution, the war, the United Irishmen fighting against the British here in Ireland, and the Industrial Revolution. And now we're in the age of technology. It's a
Yes.
revolution. It has to change for the new. The old has to be released so that the new can come in.
Absolutely. Can I just come into you 1 second? Elizabeth, you're saying King Charles is in a year 5. That's what Grainne said. Yes, yeah. So it's his
Thank you.
soul return year. And so and let me just go back. That's a term that we have our 9-year cycle, we have our first year in a personal 9-year cycle, but we have other years relating to our actual birth. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And different for
So
everyone.
no, and so that's really helpful, Elizabeth. Thank you. Because if people have questions about that, come and ask Grainne. She's right here in front of
Ooh,
you, so you can ask her the question.
I love being asked questions.
Yeah. So ask her questions, do, and come with your own dates and that kind of thing as well if you want to
That's
ask
a
any.
little bit tricky. That I can't really do that. It's better to kind of keep it general, if that's okay, because it
No,
takes too much
absolutely.
time.
Keep it general, not
Yeah.
for the individual, obviously, but for, you know, sorry, I just need to let somebody else in. Not for the individual, obviously, but for the general idea of what to expect in particular years. Grainne, if that
Yes.
was, you know, I mean,
Yes.
if that's possible,
Yes.
I think that could be good. But anyway, so this is all, you know, part of what you're saying. Now, a lot of the work that you do, Grainne, is in relation to past lives and understanding those, in soul journeys and helping people understand what they might be, and in all kinds of ways, a very spiritual way. You have your own spirit guides that you tune into on a regular basis. So what does it mean for us, for people who don't generally connect in that way? Is there anything that we should know about that?
For yourselves,
Well,
yeah.
just from the point of view, okay, maybe even just explain, when you talk about past lives. We had Claudia Chapman here last week, and she was talking about ancestral wounds and all of that kind of thing, and how it's our job here, you know, in a sense, to heal those so that we can all move on. And it can get a little bit confusing, I think, for those of us really just trying to cope with the life we have before us.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
there anything that you can explain about that?
Yes. Well, like that, yes, I dabble a little bit in past lives, but they are past. I'm finding now, as I transcend more into my own journey, that I'm focusing on this experience because this is the one I'm actually working with. Now, having said that, you know, a lot of us tend to repeat the same things just in a different bodysuit in order to be able to learn and grow and evolve. So, I mean, I think when we meditate or when we go deep into our own sense of who we are, we get a sense of things. I believe we're given a map. It's almost like a mystical map when we make our entrance, and I really believe we do choose the lifetimes in which we're born. So Sonia chose you, Trina as her mom, and all the different people, you know, our parents are our master teachers. And I very much believe we have a map. We have access to that, you know, in ourselves. But we have free will. We might decide I'm switching off the GPS, I'm doing my own thing. But there is certain things that we have to complete in a lifetime. People were meant to meet, relationships, makeups, breakdowns, breakthroughs, fun, joy, laughter, sadness, grief, all the things that we go through as humans. I very much believe a lot of the time we're healing past family wounds, like that lovely lady said. But equally, we're here to learn and grow and evolve as a soul, which is why we're here in the first instance. And
Okay.
so for all of us, I believe, being born at this time, Trina, irrespective, those of us who are on the planet right now,
Yeah.
we have a part to play in creating the new way of being.
That is fascinating. And I think maybe even up until 2020, most of us might not have realized that we were busy getting on with our mortgages and our, our childcare and our, other issues. And I think that time kind of came upon us in a way that we kind of said, well, in all of our life, we did not expect this. And once
Agreed.
that happened, we were able to look at the world very differently. And somehow that felt like a reset in us
Yeah.
all.
And I've been doing this work nearly 30 years. So I remember around the year 2000 wondering, was that it? And it was, because we went into the new millennium. However, it was more 2012, and I feel the ancient ones prophesied it as 2012. But in fact, I believe it was actually 2021. I just think the numbers were twisted. And so, yeah, because 2021 was tough for a lot of people. I have to say, I found 2023 challenging. Did most of you find 2023 challenging?
I think you'll get a lot of nods. And funnily enough, it depends. The
Mm,
years have been, I think, for each people had everyone. It will always stand out in our memories. All of those years.
yeah.
But Grania, I feel that people started, if I may speak for us all, but those of you, please speak for yourselves here. Anybody who wants to.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
I've got
I
you.
felt that though the year that we started here, there was a kind of embracing something that felt different, that felt like this is actually going to be good. There's a lovely, I feel I can take this on. Whereas in the other years, we felt as if we were at the mercy of some other, power or control. This year, as it began, I certainly felt it, and I know I met others who did, that they could take back the control, that there was a sense that, no, I've got this. I'm going to be okay this year.
Yeah. Because
Am
see,
I completely
2020.
wrong, Grania? I could be very wrong.
No, it's all relative. It's all beautiful. Year 7 was 2023, and 7
Okay,
relates to healing the past, and
right.
it a time of deep inner reflection. I know I was in hibernation for most of 23,
Yes.
and I had to heal my heart and my body and everything. So that was just me personally. But I think a lot of us had to. A lot of us had to go through that deep, go into the inner wounding, but also to learn. It's also about learning new things. So it was embracing the new earth. And now in 2024, we are in for a very fast year, and there's going to be a lot of. It'll be electric. It'll be,
Really?
oh yeah, it'll be coming from all directions. But it's an 8, so it's about balance. It's like the egg timer, so we
Okay.
can twist it around, and you know it's physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual.
Mm,
It's going to be an interesting year.
yeah. Okay. Is there any month in particular we need to look out for that we tend to just to prepare for, or is it all more or less the same?
No, I think this month is a big month.
Oh, you
Um,
okay.
January, the end of January was Pluto, the god of the underworld and death and rebirth, left the arms of Capricorn and went into the sign of Aquarius, which is what we are now in the age of Aquarius.
Uh-huh.
It'll stay there until the 1st of September, my birthday. And then it goes back to Capricorn for another little dance. And then it goes completely into Aquarius for 21 years. So for the
Okay.
rest of my lifetime, anyway, it'll be a time of, a
Ah,
lot
you'll
to
see it out the other side, Grania. This
and
year,
all that,
all kinds of things are
which is
happening.
great. But after I'll be around. But and there will be, I believe, there's going to be technology that we cannot even imagine, and it's built, it's ready. It just
Yeah.
hasn't been released. Like med beds, where you can basically heal in one
Yes.
session. You can live to be 300 apparently.
I've
No
heard, and
problem.
listen, you're speaking about these beds. I'm actually going to try and get somebody on to talk about them because I've been hearing incredible stuff. And in fact, I was speaking with somebody very recently who is a carer who has a lot of experience working with people who are literally in bed and can't, without the aid of other people, move from that. are making strides with these new, I don't know, I'm going to call it magnetic, but I may have completely the wrong words there, so I don't want to use it
So
in any.
much technology, but it's been around for hundreds of years. It just
Has it?
hasn't been
Yeah,
hidden. Oh yeah, it's been hidden. But
really.
now it's coming out. This is the time. Everything's been revealed.
Okay. Listen, you
Pandora's box.
can, well,
But
that is
another,
yeah.
yeah, another month I think will be important is April.
Oh,
April is there's going to be eclipses, but there's also going to be I feel again back to Charles, if I may, King Charles. The next full Scorpion full moon will be on the 23rd of April.
okay.
So I think that's a relevant date for him.
All right. We'll make a note
Yeah.
of
No,
that.
I'm not saying anything's going to happen, but it's very relevant for him.
Okay, okay. Well, astrologers are interesting people, Grania, and numerologists too. There's a whole world of knowledge
Sure,
there.
talk till tomorrow morning. It's all about accelerated awakenings. That's what this period is about.
Accelerated awakenings, and it can all come so fast our head is spinning. Grania, we've got a couple of people asking questions, and I do want to say that you can unmute yourselves now. That's perfectly okay. Just don't
Oh
unmute
yeah,
yourself
ask away.
unless
I
you're
can't
not.
read them because I can't see them, but you
Yeah,
can
no,
tell
I'll
me.
read out what's here, but don't unmute yourself unless you're going to ask a
Oh,
question. And then even afterwards, you can mute yourself again. So Yvonne is saying, just curious, if one's birthday is on the 10th of this month, might this be the start of a good year? Last year was awful. That's Yvonne O'Reilly. So the 10th of
yes,
this month, is that going to be
yeah.
good considering last year?
10 is always about, that's actually my ex-husband's date of birth. He's a nice man.
So is
The
Yvonne.
10th is always to do with being an innovator. So this month, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that would be you're coming into a year of choices. I'm not sure the person's name. I didn't hear it.
Yvonne.
Yvonne.
Yes.
It's a year 2, so it's a year of choices and decisions. So it's probably relationships, things like that. Again, this is very vague. I'm not tuning in. I'm just giving numbers. I suppose when I do a session, I am tuning in, so I'm getting a lot more
Yes.
information than
Yeah.
what I've learned, put it that way. But yeah, so yeah, year 2 can be a great year. It's what you started in your first year continues into the second year. So it's getting support around it, whatever that is to you, Yvonne.
Okay, that's interesting. And she said last year was awful. Do you think it'll be a good year? That's the question. Will it
Of
be a good year,
course.
Grania?
And it is about the choices, Yvonne. So how you view things, how you feel things, because really we have the power within us. Like what we're seeing through our own eyes is what we're being shown and what we experience, you know. So we
Okay.
have the power. We have the power.
Right, that's very good. We have the power. I love this. That, like Brigid, we have the power. With Teresa, with regard to all the wars, how are they going to pan out? Oh, Teresa, that's a big question, darling. How are all the wars going to pan out? Oh my goodness, that is a big question.
Well, I guess the year we're in is it's the toppling of the balance of power, Teresa. So I feel there will be a lot of truths revealed, which possibly will bring an awareness. I still have this feeling, and this is just my instinct, that something big will happen that will get people to realize we've been creating these situations all along and it has to stop. Whether it happens now, I'm not sure. I think it's more 2026, 2032. I feel there's still a ways to go
Right.
energetically. I know
So
I can't go too deep into it, but
yeah.
yeah.
So
But
you
thank
think
you.
maybe we need to? We're not looking for a quick outcome. This may well take a while to pan out.
Yeah, civilization, we're going through a revolution. So if we look back, we say back to 1777, like for example, America right now, I'm watching America because
Mm,
America is going through its
aren't
Pluto return. Yeah,
ah,
which is, it's fascinating. And again, I feel there's going to be a huge shakedown there, which the states will all break up as far as I think. And I feel it'll be a complete re-emergence of a new world over there.
Isn't that fascinating? I've been listening to Greg Braden. Many of you know he's wonderful. You see him on Gaia TV and others. he's just got the most beautiful energy and a great understanding of all things, I always feel. And one of the things that he has said is that we have to stop trying to compare where we are now with where we were and trying to get it back. How do we get, how do we solve the climate crisis? How do we solve the sort of order breaking down in so many countries? How do we get it back to what it was? And what he's saying to us is we've got to start looking at what we can create for the future and how we're going to shape that and how we want to vision it. And when we start doing that, we begin to see things changing completely. So it's the longing for what was that is actually holding us back in the progress that is really available to us if we just embrace how we're going to vision the future. And he actually maintains there is plenty of food and the ability to feed the world over well if we were to begin to use the knowledge that is available to us and work together as communities and countries and as
that's
humans.
really the aim. Yeah. And let's face it, we're all kind of, I mean, change, it can be scary.
Yeah.
But when it's 7 billion or thereabouts, moving forward to something new, creating something new, and it's not like we're going to step into a new earth. It's like the consciousness behind it is what we're stepping into.
Yeah, and we always have to deal with those who have a way of making money, and they risk losing that in these changes as well, because they will be the ones who will fight longest and hardest, I think. I want to just go back to some messages. Gail said Grainne is a breath of fresh air. She gives us so much to think about. There you go, Grainne, you are definitely. Yvonne said thank you for what you had to say. And Carmel, as you mentioned, Pluto is in Aquarius for the next 20 years. Will the energy be fast and electric for the next 20 years?
Yes.
Okay.
Did I say that fast enough?
Yeah.
It's accelerated. I mean, I feel we really don't know we have no idea really, but I can guarantee it's going to be fast and furious. And but it's a gateway. It's an opportunity to change everything. And so it's a social revolution.
Well, no, we have a social revolution. So you have lots going on at the moment to help, in your corner of the world and people with what you're doing. You have your podcast, which I just think is great. Podcasts are such a gift, all of them, really, when you think about it. All of these people with knowledge and talent and years of experience and abilities, and we can just tap in on that and hear what they have to say. So I actually think everyone, if you pick even one or two great podcasters and listen to them, you're in good hands. Grainne, yours is numbers for success. I'm going to put it into, oh no, could somebody put that in for me? Numbers for success. Numbers for success. That's Grainne's podcast. And you also, and so that goes out. How often do you put that out?
I do it once a week on a Wednesday usually. I did one today now because I was so excited. Yeah, thank you very much. And there's no spaces. It's just numbers for success. Yeah, it's on Spotify and Apple and all types of things. And so once a week, and then I have a community that I have as well. So people join, and I give a daily message Monday to Friday amongst all.
And a song every day as well, a piece of music.
I give music. Yeah, I love music. So music is accompanying the message.
Yeah. And your message is very often, because I have access to this lovely community, and your message is very often something that you've intuited or that you have woken up with this knowledge that it comes to. This is in a way this is how you do things, really, isn't it? You've connected with spirit and you bring these messages to your community daily.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. And I never know what will come out. I just go with it. But it's usually very uplifting. People say they enjoy them so much because wherever they are in the world, because it helps them to set them up for the day. So it's just a little reminder from the new universe, Trina.
Lovely. And so they can, that's a step. So your podcasts are out there in the world, and this is a community that goes along with that. So do you want to give me the details of how people can connect with you, or is there another way?
If they can contact me just on through my website, numbersforsuccess.com.
Okay.
And then obviously I do one-to-one readings for people. That's an hour long.
Now a number of people, the last time that you were on, Grainne, I know lots of people got back in touch with me afterwards and said that they had a wonderful reading with you, and that some quite incredible things. But you kind of point people in the direction of things that they might not have expected, or help them see things that they hadn't been able to see, even though it was in front of their eyes. There's you know, another way of looking at things that you have the ability for them to see. And you
Yes,
talk about soul journey. We talked about that a little, but I still just want to press you a little more on that. What
please
is a
do ask
soul
me
journey?
anything. Yep.
Yeah. What is
What
a
is the
soul
soul? So the soul is the real you. So it's a bit like I always have this crystal. Well, maybe it's this one here. You say this is the crystal. You can see that beautiful crystal. So
journey?
there's thousands of pieces on that crystal, and it just I think it's one that was beside me, and so that crystal in many ways is symbolic of our soul.
Mm.
So our soul, as I said, every makeup, breakup, breakdown, breakthrough we have is imprinted on the soul. So therefore, it doesn't mean we have to have a hard life. Far from it. The joyful times as well are part of the imprint.
Mhm,
So the soul's journey can take many, many, many lifetimes,
mhm.
many experiences, and you know that's what makes that takes millions of years to form that crystal, that beautiful crystal, and you know that's a bit like us. I mean, it doesn't have to be millions of years, but it takes a lot of, you know, sometimes it takes a few few experiences to realize, oh, I can do it differently, maybe. You know,
Yeah.
like this was a poem I walked. You know, you walk down a street and you fall into a hole. There's a
Oh, I
great
love
poem about
that.
that. Yeah,
Yes.
next time you walk around the hole. So that's what we're
We
here
just
to be,
need
and that's
that.
what this month is about. Mhm.
Eventually, one day we take another street. That's at the end of
Yes,
that. So sorry about
yeah,
that.
it's a
And so
great one.
this is what you help people to see, actually, that there is another street to take. There's another way of doing it, and that's a part of it as well.
You know, it's beautiful. Like I can help people with careers, their love lives. I love relationship things. I love that. I love that
Mhm.
dynamic of trying to work it out and just see it how it can be, you know, experienced. But equally, you know, around our soul's journey, like what is your true mission? Why are you here? We're all on a mission. And sometimes our mission doesn't have to be. I'm a three life path, so I like to talk. You'd never guess. And I think Trina, you're a three as well. So we're good together. So and I love you dearly. So three is all about communication. If you look at the number three, for example, it's a very expansive number. And I'm not just saying it about me, I'm just talking generally. So it's all about magnetism, you know, networking, connecting, bringing people together. And so with that in mind, you know, some part of our soul's contract is to build our confidence as a three. That's just very basic. So threes can sometimes, even though we can be out there, but threes can also live a quiet life where they're doing their own work, their mission.
Mm,
It could be making a beautiful garden for someone,
mm,
which
mm.
makes them feel good about themselves. So it doesn't always have to be like the work I do or any of us. It's just about finding your own mission that makes your heart sing.
Oh,
I don't feel this is work. This is my precious gift
no.
that I'm so grateful for.
Well,
You
we're
know.
very grateful for it too, Grania. And I just want to come back to it. I don't want to leave without giving people an opportunity to come and ask you a question. Grania's in front of us. If you've
Oh,
got
do
something
yeah,
you want
ask me
to
anything.
ask, come and do that. And just unmute yourself if you're not unmuted already. Or do
Mhm.
come in. While you're thinking about that, stick up your hand, say you want to talk, unmute yourself and say please, or put something in the chat box. I just want to ask you, Grania, you talk about guides, your guides. Are
Oh
these,
yeah.
have you, so just for those of us who, you know, who may not understand what that is, how did you discover your guides? I mean, was this a voice that you woke up to one morning? You know, have you seen a guide standing in your room, or does it come through to you as you're writing or speaking? How do you connect with your guide, yours in particular?
Yes. Yes. Well, from time I could remember, I had a very strong guide, and he was Egyptian,
Mhm.
and he was very tall, and he had the most beautiful ivory skin, like really ivory, and he wore purple and gold. This is in the late 60s in Dublin. So, and I remember he was always in my room, and I used to call him Mr. Sandyman, and he didn't say much, but I always felt safe with him. And I never told anyone. I think my father might have guessed it, but I never said anything to anyone. I don't know why, I just didn't. And then he guides come and go, but we really do have angels around us.
Mhm.
And I've witnessed and seen angels all my life. And we have at least one guardian angel who's with us through all of our lifetimes. And I really know this. I mean it. I
Mhm.
know it for the fact. So, but guides come and go. I have different guides that come and go, but I have a group of guides I call the Georges. Now they're mighty, and I forget to call them in sometimes, but they make sure to tell me because they'll show themselves to me, or I'll hear music that they used to play and things like that. So they will come and give me information. So yeah,
Wonderful. And
and
I, I would say the same thing. I've had absolute proof, and I know beyond a shadow of a doubt about angels, and they're very much in my life. And I've heard them, I've had them speak to me, and I, you know, experience them actually daily. I honestly say that. And the one thing I think people will always know is that you will never feel afraid when if in your case your guides are speaking to you or your angels are speaking to you. There's no fear, because the frequency at which they arrive is a frequency that actually you can take, you can feel. And it's, in fact, if anything, it's an incredible sense of love, an incredible sense of being cherished, almost as if you're being held in the arms of your you know, your mother or a loved one dearly, just held tenderly. There's a cherishing sense of it. Yeah.
there's a lovely word, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you know, our angels can also come as earth angels. Like we can see that they can come, and you know, you meet a stranger. It's happened to me plenty of times, and then the next thing they're gone, but they've brought you in a new direction. Or
Yeah.
you know, for me, I'm very clairaudient. That's how I hear, and so I hear through my right ear, obviously, but I hear my guides talk to me when I'm working one on one or groups. But and I hear a lot through music. If I need a question or an answer to a question to it, you know, I'm looking for information. I'll usually get it very clearly through something. Or and the thing is, our angels have been assigned to us, so a lot of them are redundant, poor creatures, because we don't talk to them. So maybe for all you fine people, ask your angel, even if it sounds a bit weird, just ask them, show me a sign, and you'll get your sign. I promise.
Isn't that, now maybe that is the sign, maybe that was what you were meant to hear this evening. And actually, just before we go, Grainne, I just wanted to say something similar, because I normally pick out 3 cards at the end of the evening, or sometimes I do. With someone as spiritual as you on the program, I may not, but somehow I wanted to show people the new Kyle Gray deck. I don't know if you are aware of some of his decks.
No,
That's the new
Kyle
Kyle
Gray.
Gray deck. I don't know if I've shown people that recently. That's the Divine Masters Oracle. And so I wanted to take out 3 cards just to talk about that. And so if those of you want to pick your 1, 2, or 3, we have 3 cards here. I picked them beforehand, but please choose whether it's 1, 2, or 3. And I want to say that these cards turned up exactly as they are, and I was gobsmacked is only the only thing I can say. But I just want to show you, so I'll just reveal them now. So number 1 was Lakshmi and Ganesh. Lakshmi and Ganesh. And prosperity vibration, the prosperity vibration. You are attracting health, wealth, and happiness. So those of you who picked out number 1, this is pretty good. You're attracting health, wealth, and happiness. Listen, we all are attracting that all of the time. But for number 1s, keep your eyes wide open and merge with that kind of vibration and frequency if you possibly can. Here is something quite exciting. This is Brigid. Brigid came out. She was determined to be a part of this evening. I am telling you 100% hand on heart. This is the second card that came out of that deck. I've only got them quite recently, and I haven't even seen the Brigid card. So I couldn't believe it. Inner fire. Let your passion lead you to your purpose. I mean, could that not be more the message that we've been talking about?
She's the
For
woman.
number 2s, waking up. You've got a lot of passion there. Start speaking up for it. Throw down your cloak and demand your piece of land or whatever it is that you're looking for. And the third one, these are quite interesting. You know, Kyle has a great connection with divine beings from all, you know, from throughout the cosmos. And he has picked the blue beings. I don't know if you can see that, the blue beings. And this is light transmission. Now, quite interestingly, wounds healed, important information, and charging up with energy. Wounds healed, important information. Listen out for something that you need to know, or something that you've missed and you didn't realize. Keep your eyes and ears open for that. There's important information coming to you. And charging up. So how are you going to do that? How do you do that? And that can be done either by resting, or it can actually be done by getting out into the element that you're most happy in, whether that's by the sea or in the beach or climbing the hills or into the forests or into a museum in the city or off for a cup of coffee with your best friend and having a good laugh. But charging up is what it's all about. So those are the 3 cards for this evening. But actually, Brigid, she had to make an appearance. I couldn't believe it when I saw her. Well done.
Oh,
Listen,
I love
you
her.
got anybody else? So that was my sign, card 2. That was your sign, Mary B. Card 2. Off you go now. Speak up and throw your cloak down. Definitely that. Katie, did you pick number 2, Brigid? No way. Well, there you are. Anyway, Grainne, have you anything you'd like to end with this evening to all of us? Do you have a particular message that you want to bring to us?
Well,
You've got us lots. Please don't feel any pressure. But if there's anything you want to say.
no, I'm delighted. I feel, today, this month being Brigid's energy, let's call her in and call in. I have a little poem actually, Mighty Brigid.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mighty Brigid, keeper of the flame, blazing in the heart and the narth of the dark night. O goddess, we honor you, bringer of light, healer. Bless us now, Earth Mother, that we may be as fruitful as the soil itself, and our love abundant and fertile. Bride of the earth, sister of the fairies, daughter of the Tuatha Danu, keeper of the eternal flame. We bless you now. And so it is.
Oh my goodness, what an absolutely beautiful way to end this. There's lots and lots of thanks coming in and
Sure.
people very much appreciating seeing you this evening, Grainne. They
Thank you.
have your podcast address, they have your website, and people know where to contact you if they want to get any more information about their own
Delighted to
particular
meet
soul
you. And
journey.
thank you, Trina, for the opportunity. You're
Thank you
amazing.
so much. And thank you everybody for being here this evening. It's been lovely having you all here. Lovely to see you. We're celebrating spring. Let's really get ourselves together. Let's focus our attention on all good things, beautiful things, growing things, and all of our own creativity and excitement about the sort of season that's coming in. Take really good care of yourselves. Grainne, thank you again. Thank you everybody. Thank you those who have questions, and I look forward to seeing you in a fortnight. Thanks so much again. Bye-bye, Grainne. Bye-bye.